publicity. So we're moving on now to our third speaker is Dave Hill. Dave Hill has been instrumental in setting up this meeting. He has, I'm trying to introduce him properly. Just a minute, right. He's got a very long history as a veteran socialist. He's stood in 2 elections. He's been a Labour group leader. He's been a shop steward and regional union chair in NAPFI. Recently was involved in the campaign to try and get Tanushka Marah, a pro-Gaza candidate, elected in Brighton, I think. So over to you, Dave.
Can you hear me, comrades? Can you put your fingers up if you can hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Because I've just touched a button on my computer, which has completely destroyed my sound. So you can hear me, but I can't hear you.
Oh, dear.
But being a deaf person, I can partly lip read, and I've got the captions on.
Okay.
So
you've had your 7 minutes.
Thanks for that introduction. Thanks for that introduction, Pam. Okay, I've got a clock beside me, so I shall stop after about 50 minutes. 7 minutes. Yeah, thanks for that introduction. I want to talk about 2 or 3 different things. I want to talk about the United Front, in fact, but I want to start off by talking about the United Front we built in the local campaign in Hove, where we had a campaign. We got one of the best results in the country. We got 5.9% in an area with a very small Muslim population. That's one of the top left, socialist, anti-austerity, pro-Palestine, openly socialist campaigns. We did well. We've done some of the things that comrades have talked about. We did have a left hustings. You know, we got in touch with about 20 different WhatsApp groups. We had 165 people turn up, and they selected, it happened to be lucky, we selected somebody who was not only a socialist, but also a good candidate. And we ran a full campaign. We spent the maximum, and we had about 200 people, which is pretty phenomenal. Now, what I want to focus on is who were they? Who are we? Because we're continuing. Okay, so we had a number of people from the small parties. We had people from most of the small parties: Socialist Workers' Party, Socialist Party, Socialist Alternative, Communist Party of Britain, Fourth International. We had a number of those people with experience in organising and also in elections. The biggest group, I guess, other than the youth, other than the young, the biggest group was people who've been expelled from or actually left the Labour Party. Felicity talked about she gave statistics about the number of young people, and it was incredible. The vibe, the buzz, the social media awareness, the youthfulness, the vibrancy of the campaign. Young Anglos, but also a lot of people, I don't want to exaggerate, but people from the minority ethnic groups. Now, I want to make a crucial point here. It was not only those groups, we also had support from the Trades Council. The Trades Council had about 15 candidates in Brighton and Hove to choose from, and the one they selected to choose after a hustings at the Trades Council was our candidate, who was called Tanushka Marah. So how did we all do? How did the other parties do? How did the left, perennially split? But, you know, I read Gramsci sometimes, not usually before I'm going to bed, but I sometimes read Gramsci, and his phrase, pessimism of the intellect, optimism of the will. I'm an optimist. It's a personality defect. I'm a perennial optimist. And I see the possibility, if we play a part in it, we 60, 70 people here, and trades councils and trade unions and community organisations, I do foresee the possibility of the left coming together more than in the past. Most of us here have been through Socialist Alliance, Respect, Tusk. I fought a number of elections for Tusk as well as for the Labour Party. But I do think it's so important, and so does everyone at this meeting, I guess, that we do come together. And that we, to pick up a point that both other speakers have made, that we do come together, not as a fan club, not as a fan club of Galloway or Corbyn or Feinstein or etc., etc. The working class must throw up its own leaders, and it must throw up its own, develop its own programme. What I want to, I don't know how long I've been going, but I want to talk a bit about the United Front, which is even more necessary in view of the fact that actually, and I'm sure most people know this, that the right got a higher vote, not just in France, which is unremarked upon. They got a lot more votes than the Popular Front and the centrists separately. But in England, the right-wing parties got 38% of the vote. That's Conservatives and Reform. Labour only got 34%. And all of us here are going to say no enthusiasm for Starmer. And it's quite right. I've fought in 13 elections as a candidate, parliamentary council, etc., etc. Never have I seen a result greeted with such, what's the word? The noun for dismal, dismality, lack of enthusiasm, lack of hope, shrug of the shoulders. And the far right, although some comrades will say they're not a threat, they are a threat. And who are the people they come for? First, it's not the ethnic minorities, it's not the Jews, it's not the Muslims, it's the working class, the trade unions and the working class organizations. You can look at Hitler, you can look at Mussolini, you can look at Milei in Argentina, Bolsonaro, blah, blah, blah. The first people they kill, the first people they appropriate, the first people they silence are the representatives of the working class. And it's not enough to say, but they haven't got a street army. Okay, they've only got a tiny street army at the minute with Tommy Robinson and the EDL, etc., etc. But they can fund street armies. So we have to really be aware. And that's another reason to bring the left together. So I want to end up, if I've got time, have I got a couple of minutes left? Right. I want to end up on stuff about the United Front. I happen to be hugely anti-sectarian. It's what I've spent the last few decades trying to bring in my own minuscule way, my own ant-like way, trying to bring the left together, get us all to work together, which we did in the campaign in Hove, and which other campaigns throughout the country have done to get us together. Now, the United Front is a way we know from Trotsky, and I happen to be a revolutionary Marxist, a Trotskyist, an anti-capitalist. I want to see capitalism replaced, not just managed a bit more pleasantly. I want to see it replaced with socialism and communism as described by Marx in Grundrisse and German ideology, etc., etc. But the United Front is a way of bringing us Marxists, those of us who are here, that us Marxists, together with other sections of the working class, who we must not dismiss, but working in a united front with them without liquidating ourselves, without indulging in liquidationism, without engaging in tailism, tailing along the most moderate demands. We keep our own organizations, we keep our own principles, but we work in that milieu, trying to bring different groups, reformist groups and revolutionary groups together. So we don't liquidate, we don't tail end, we have contestation, we have argument, debate, and you know, we can see it in the campaign in Brighton, which is continuing, as I say. We see the people's eyes being opened. They've never before heard words like I don't know, like revolution or like anti-capitalism. And I think, Pam, I think you are wonderful. But I disagree with one slight thing you said. You said we all know this, we all know Felicity, we all know Ian Hodson. We don't. I mean, we do. But I would say that of the 200 people involved in the campaign in Hove, 180 had never heard of the other speakers on this program or of me. I live here. So we have to be open. We have to be open and embrace these without liquidating ourselves and tail ending. So I end up with a plea for us to work with other groups. And my last sentence, and those other groups must include the trades councils and the trade unions, because the trade unions and the trade councils, they are the organizations, the organized units of the working class. Most of the other groups are not yet organized. So that's why I'm speaking on behalf of the campaign for a mass workers' party. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Thanks very much for that.
I can't hear a word, but I can read it.
Can you lip read? Can you lip read what I'm saying? Okay. Thank you very much for that introduction. Right.